Good morning, dear YouTube friends. Thanks so much for coming by. Today we're talking tarts. I have got a lemon coconut tart coming at you with a tahini almond oatmeal crust that is absolutely divine. Keep on watching to see how we make it. Okay guys, let's talk crust. I have got a cup of raw almonds here that I'm going to buzz up in the blender for about 7 seconds until we get kind of like an almond meal, but with a little bit of crunch texture. And then to those almonds that we've pulsed up, I'm adding just a cup of rolled oats, and then I'm going to just mix it up a little bit before we add our wet ingredients. And those wet ingredients include 1/4 cup of tahini. I don't know about you guys, but I just absolutely adore tahini. It's super good in savory dishes, amazing in sweet dishes like this one. It's totally killer. Anyway, moving on. I'm adding 3 tablespoons of maple syrup as well, and then I'm just going to mix that on up until we get kind of like a sticky crumble type texture, like so. And now I'm simply going to just press this mixture into a tart pan. Use whatever your heart desires. I've got this really cute rectangle one I just got off of Amazon. I'll link below the measurements. This is a little bit larger of a tart pan, so it's going to give us a little bit thinner of a tart and thinner filling. So if you want something a little bit more thick, a 6-inch style would probably give you a thicker amount. Just depends on the texture you're going for. I am also using a wet spatula once I got this spread out a little bit to press down that crust so we can get it as tightly packed as possible. If you're going to use your hands, that's great. Just get them a little wet because this is quite a sticky dough. I find that if I start with my fingers and then kind of finish off with a wet spatula, it doesn't have to be soaking wet, but I just rinsed it and then started to press. And as it got sticky, I just flipped it around. I'm not worrying about going up the sides of the pan quite yet. I'm just getting this basic rectangle going first. Once it's all pressed down, I'm going to pop this guy into the fridge while we make our filling. Okay, on to the lemon filling. I've got a cup of full-fat coconut milk as well as a 1/4 cup of non-dairy unsweetened milk. Use whatever you've got. I prefer soy to cook with. It seems to take on flavors a little bit better, but anything will do really. And while our milks are heating up on medium heat, I just thought I'd give a little shout out to Thrive Magazine. I want to give credit where credit is due. The filling part of this recipe is loosely based on a recipe I saw in their magazine. This plant-based magazine, if you're looking for inspiration for how to put together food or recipes in general, is pretty stellar. I totally recommend it. I'll link below what it looks like so you guys can see as well. It is absolutely worth checking out. So anyway, as our milk is heating up, like I said, I'm also going to add the zest of 1 lemon. Be careful when you're zesting to not go too far into the white pith part of the lemon. That's where it starts to get a little bit bitter and you're not just getting those yummy, yummy lemon oils. So after I've zested one of the lemons, I'm going to squeeze in the juice of 2 lemons. So since I don't have one of those fancy-dancy lemon squeezers, I'm squeezing them with my right hand, and then the left hand is cupped underneath to catch any seeds that may pop out. Although these lemons actually weren't very seedy, so it worked out pretty easily. Now I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. And this is where you want to do a little bit of taste testing to see what your ratios look like. If you want it a little bit more lemony, if you want it a little bit more sweet. I like a lot of lemon, but I also don't want to make it too sour. So I'm giving it a taste test. And I think it needs just a little bit more maple syrup because we added quite a bit of lemon. So I'm just going to do 1 more tablespoon and that should do it. Use whatever ratios of the lemon and the syrup that works for you. You can also use different kinds of sweetener as well. I find that the maple goes really well with the lemon. I'm just getting out the rest of that lemon there. A little more juice going on. And we're just going to bring this up to a simmer. So our secret ingredient that's going to give us that luscious custard-like texture is agar-agar, which is a vegan version of gelatin, essentially. It's made out of, I believe, algae. So it's in powder form. You can get it. I got mine online, but I believe you can find it at a lot of natural foods type stores. It's becoming much, much more popular than it used to be. So I'm just sprinkling it in a half teaspoon at a time, trying to get it really dispersed so when we whisk it, it doesn't get too clumpy. Once we whisk that in, we're going to add about 1/8 of a teaspoon of turmeric. I'm just going to sprinkle it in a couple different times and get it to the right color yellow that I prefer. And we're looking fabulous. As soon as it comes to a little bit of a rolling simmer, I'm going to take it off the heat and we're going to keep whisking it for about 7 to 10 minutes while it cools down just a bit. We don't want it to go right into that crust just yet. So I've got our mixture off the heat. It's on a little coaster right here. I'm going to scooch it over very, very gracefully. And I've pulled our crust out of the fridge and it's cool enough that I can kind of work with it with my fingers a little bit more easily. So now I'm just going around all the edges and pushing up a bit of the crust to give us a side here. So I'm just going to go all the way around really quickly and then just make sure I press in everywhere that I've moved things around so we have a solid crust going on. So it's been about 7 minutes. As you can see, our filling is definitely starting to thicken up already. So I'm just pouring it all along the inside of our crust here. I'm going to use a spatula to spread it on out. As you can see, this tart pan is quite long and thin and big, so it's going to give us a really hearty crust and just a nice thin layer of that beautiful custard to brighten it up with that lemon flavor. If you're looking for a thicker custard inside your crust, you can totally use a different shape and size of tart pan. If you use like a 6-inch that's a little deeper, you will end up with more custard in each bite. Or you can also double the batch for the custard so you get just twice as much of that luscious lemon deliciousness. Totally up to you. I really like this ratio myself, but you do you. That's the whole point of this. It's having fun and making things you love, right? So now I'm just going to pop this in the fridge for about 25 minutes until it sets. Where it's pretty thin, it sets very quickly. And I am going to decorate it with some fresh lemon. Edible flowers also look amazing. Raspberries on this taste delicious. You can go a bunch of different directions, but I thought I'd keep it simple for you today. And we're just going to lay some slices of lemons down one of the sides. And we are good to go. And there you have it, all the delicious and awesome flavors of summer packed into this super simple to make tart. So delicious. I hope you guys love this as much as I do. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you guys are staying safe and healthy, and I can't wait to talk to you soon. Cheers.